painting in the back of the room, and as a lot of the wait staff were saying today, it's like, you didn't paint that in one afternoon. That's amazing. And it was very exciting when you guys were all in the cocktail room and they were setting up. They kept coming over to me saying, that's just amazing. What does it mean? And that's one of the reasons I do this, because I explain to bus drivers and waitresses and cabbies and the wait staff at facilities like this how important health information technology is within your life and how it will change your patient's story. And that's what a painting is today. So I listen to you the entire time and I figure out what visual images represent what you're saying. So, come this way. When you look at this painting, it's chaotic. See, some of the people who came up and looked at it early said it's a little frightening. Well, chaos is a bit frightening. And when you're on the edge and things are changing, that could be bad, but it could be amazing and good too. So if you look far, far up here, there is Joe Cantor, and he's leaning on a tree of knowledge. And he's pointing into the distance at a city on a hill. And this is what you're building. And it's beautiful and bright, and the cloud above it supports it. And as you look, the speech is continued. There's this ocean, and within the ocean are islands of excellence. There's statues, and they're made of gold, and they're great, and they're wonderful, but they're islands. And if those clouds can't touch those islands of excellence, we're not going to change the world. And then as you start looking at the hill, Joe's amazing, and he's a futurist, and he sees what's coming, but he can't do it by himself. So you are on the hill too. So we have a doctor, and he's holding 2 buckets full of HIT, and he's trying so bad to get them up the hill. And there's a patient, and she's chubby and overweight, and maybe a minority population, and she's carrying a basket on her head, and it says community, because that's what she represents. And then there is a CEO-looking gentleman, he maybe runs a business, and he has a banner above him that says private-public partnership. And then off to the edge of this painting, and almost not on the painting, is actually a sign that says nurses and a nurse, because I go to way too many medical conferences where I do not see nurses at the podium. And they have such a valuable voice in this conversation. And then we have a mother backpacking her child behind her, showing that this is the caregiver who's desperately trying to help you. She may be maintaining a parent before her and her child behind her, but she is part of this. And far up with the American flag, there is a gentleman, and maybe he's an immigrant, or maybe he's a minority population, or maybe he's a waiter who helped you tonight. But guess what? He's got the flag of the United States. He believes that we are the most wonderful, best nation on the earth, and we should have the most wonderful, best health care. And then as we look down lower, we see a researcher with his glasses on and his shirt, and he's got his banner saying research, because that has to be at this table. And then we have a little bitty girl patient wearing pajamas with her Elmo doll with her. Because for the peds patient, that caregiver can be just a little stuffed animal that's in the bed with them. And then finally, some people saw this figure in the bottom, this patient. And this patient has a yoke on, and there are 2 buckets. And one bucket says private enterprise, and the other bucket says government. And some people said, well, that's so unfair that they're carrying that heavy burden. And I'm like, oh, no, no, no. Have you ever worked with a yoke before? This is balanced burden. This is great. Carrying those buckets like that doctor's doing, that's painful. But a yoke on your back up a hill, that's strength. And if there's one thing I would love for you to remember, this is the part, the patient, that powerful patient that hasn't been utilized yet in this problem. And if you can get them to join you on that hill, you will change the world. Thank you. And because this has been amazing and I'm so honored to be here today, I want to give this painting to Joe.